everyone, Tiffany Creasy here with Workout Promotions and Recognition, and today I have Julie with us. She's our embroidery specialist, and kind of wanted to talk about a common question we get asked here is how do you remove a name from a jacket or any piece of clothing that there may be a name on that you're either trying to pass on to somebody else or sell. So we're going to give you some tips and tricks here, aren't we?
Okay, I brought a jacket along that I sewed a name on, and I'm going to show you some of the best ways you can pull the jacket on. So it's best always to work from the underside of the jacket. So you never want to touch the top of it because that's how you create different holes that you don't want. So I brought a few tools with me. First I'll show you the one that I use the most. This is called a stitch eraser. And what I'm going to attempt to do with this is get in there and shave off the back. So you might be able to try this with one of your, kids' hair razors at home. All right?
Whatever works and what you got.
So I try to get up the center. And that is the first step. So now you've shaved most of the parts open, and this is when you're allowed to go to the front side. Now, the best tool I find is my fingernail. And you're gonna just start picking away. Your fingernail is fairly gentle. If you have sharp fingernails, don't use your fingernails. And then you can just gently pull this out. Never want to pull too hard. If it's not coming out easily, don't keep pulling. This is just your first step. You want to pull out as much as you can. And then when you've pulled out as much as you can on that, you want to go back to the inside once more. Now here you can use your razor again, and you want to go for the little lines that are in there. Now if you're using a more delicate piece like a shirt, first of all I wouldn't recommend it. But secondly, you don't want to get your razor in for this step on a thin piece of material. Alright, so you head back to the other side once more, again with your fingernail, and try to pull out even more. Okay, so if you've got as far as you can with the razor and your fingernail, you're going to want to find a sharp tip pair of scissors. So these ones are special embroidery scissors, but you could probably find a pair at the dollar store. The most important part is that you have thin, sharp tips. From there, you try to get underneath these little straight lines and clip them out. And then you continue doing that with going back to the front and gently pulling. And you want to go back and forth, until you get all of this out. Okay, so I'm going to leave this for now for the purposes of this video, and I'm going to move on to some other suggestions that Tiffany told me some of her clients have asked about. So first, something you probably have at home, Exacto knife. So you'd want to do very similar to what you did with the razor, but with an Exacto knife. Okay, so with the Exacto knife, you're cutting into the back. Make sure your blade is nice and sharp. And again, you don't want to do this with a thin piece of clothing. So this takes a little longer than the razor that I just showed you, but you'll still get the same results. So now that I've cut most of that out, I'm going to go to the front side. And again, you could use your fingernail here, but I also have another tool that I use, which is just a pair of tweezers. Now they have a dull end, they're not the type that you use in your bathroom. So these are a little bit different, and I'm pretty sure you could still get something similar at the dollar store. So again, this is just like when I used my fingernail earlier. You're just pulling out the big pieces that come out easily. So the key in all of this is to be as gentle as you possibly can. When you're not gentle and you pull too hard, that's when you make holes. Okay, so I've got as much out on the front side as I can again, and I'm going to go back and use my Exacto knife to try to cut through a few more pieces and lift up the edges. So for this, again, you're going to go back and forth until you've got absolutely everything out. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the third method that some customers have asked about. They asked about using a disposable razor. So I've never tried this before, so we're going to give it a go. So with this, I would assume that you want to do the same thing and work from the back. Oh, it works pretty good actually. Until the razor gets full of thread, it works very nice. So you might have to use several types of razors. And then again to the front side.
So you can see it's very time consuming at least.
It
Right?
sure is.
Not the most prettiest thing to do.
No. Takes a long time, but it's something you really want to do. It's definitely an option. Alright, so with this again, you could try continuing with your razor. The razor was pretty sharp, and it was obviously brand new. What I found with it though, once again, if this was a thin material, it would have cut a hole right through it. Alright, so we're going to take a break right there. I'm going to pull the rest of this out, and then I'm going to show you what to do after you pull the name out.
All right.
Alright, so I finished pulling all of these little bits of thread out, and you'll notice there's little bits of thread everywhere. So it does make a mess. So in order to clean that up, you want to start using a lint roller and just get as much of the loose thread off as you can on both the outside and the inside. You'll see on the inside still pretty much everywhere, and it gets right in there. So you probably need a few sheets of this. And now you're ready to do the last step, which is ironing, to attempt to get some of this name out and relax the material. When you're ironing, you want to spray the whole thing down with water first. Get it really nice and wet and let it absorb in a little bit while you get prepared. Plug in your iron, and then you want to grab this is a heat resistant material. I think that you could probably use wax paper. So put it down over top, grab the iron, just go over it as many times as I need to. This is usually a 2 or 3 part process. You want to make sure that you're getting steam coming up from the water part. So right now you can really still see that. Put a little bit more water in there. And back to ironing. So I have my iron up really high. And that's the part that's gonna create the steam for you.
All right, so we're back now.
Okay, so we finished ironing, and if you'll notice, there's a few close-up pictures. You can still see the little pieces of where the thread went through the material. It's forever damaged, unfortunately. However, from a distance, you wouldn't be able to see that there was a name in this at all. Now, my best recommendation would be to put another name right over top of the same area so that you won't notice it at all. something that's bigger that goes over top is always better.
Yes, and that way you can really kind of cover up this part here.
So it is damaged, however, it's not damaged that bad.
Yeah.
So the type of stitch I took out here is called a satin stitch. There is a different type of stitch that you can also remove, and it's called a fill stitch or a tatami stitch. This right here is an example of that, and it's not stitches that go like this, it's stitches that go like that. You use the same principles to remove that, however, it's going to take you even longer. And just to remove the name took me about a half an hour.
Yeah, very lengthy in time, so.
Sure is.
It is recommended though too for us that you try to attempt to take the name out yourself as well. Just save you a little bit of money there, and then if you're bringing it back in, like Julie said, to cover it up, then we can definitely help you out at that point as well. But I think with these tools here, kind of help to explain a bit more the proper process. So thanks, Julie, for taking your time out today and showing us that. And thanks everyone for listening. Take care.
Back.